for people of like my dad's generation, they're not used to seeing penises on screen. And I think for a lot of people it's jarring. And that's definitely that, like, for all of us, it's that internalized misogyny of, no, I'm supposed to see a woman's parts, not a man's parts.
It's always like, every time I see one, I'm like, oh God, that's a penis.
2, 3, 4.
Hello. Episode
6?
Yeah. Where we talk about what is for magic.
The second book in the Blues for Nightmares installation.
Who had to get the same cover that I did.
That's because I needed it fast.
Yeah.
When in reality, actually, I didn't.
I know. Robyn gave me so much shit.
She didn't give her shit.
I thought this was a cool cover.
And all I did was talk about what she has agreed with me on, which is why do they change the original covers of books?
She made me cry.
Oh my God, shut the fuck up.
My soul, like, burned.
This is the original cover.
The original cover is better.
All of the books originally have a single candle and the title. And this bullshit, let's get my close-up in here. This bullshit, no. And all I said to her was like, why do they always change the title? And she said, you hate me.
I immediately took it as a personal attack.
I didn't say you're stupid for buying it. I said
she had like a very visceral reaction. And I'm like, oh my God, are you mad at me?
Here's the thing. Also, we were texting. You have no idea what my tone was.
I know. I know what her tone is. It was the same tone that she has right now.
I don't even know how to like
dignify that with the response.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Anyway, so would you like to give us the synopsis?
I would love
please.
To. What is for magic? A year has passed since Stacy Brown saved her best friend from a horrible death. Was Donovan going to kill her?
Yes. If she didn't love him.
Okay. Now she's having nightmares again, haunted by ghosts of the brutally murdered and by a crazed stalker. Sound familiar? As she desperately casts healing spells, a new student named Jacob enters her world. Beautiful and mysterious, he reveals that he is also having dreams. To stop a killer, they must join together. But can Jacob be trusted? Or will this new love cause her darkest dreams to come true?
Love it.
Thank you.
Here's one thing I will say. And that's it. One thing, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for the way my brain is wired, but a lot of these young adult novels with the romances had like this mysterious and like perfect man kind of just appear out of nowhere at your school. And I wanted that so badly. Because also I didn't like any of the boys at my school. They were all stupid. Sorry, guys. The ones I'm friends with, you're not stupid. I love you. But
I think we all had that fantasy of this really mysterious,
and then him like
enigmatic,
having eyes for you.
Yeah, this mysterious enigmatic person coming into our lives and singling you out as somebody like special. I think that's like a very common fantasy for teen girls.
I mean, I still have that fantasy.
And women. We all do. We've all been there.
We all have heard what they're talking about with the idea of you with Anne Hathaway. Do you know that?
We all want that fantasy. And
yeah.
That's kind of what Jacob represents.
Yeah. Also, if there is any background noise, there is a music video filming in this same studio space. So if you hear anything, it's not ghosts. It's the faint sound of music playing elsewhere in the studio.
You could have said that it was ghosts because it fits with the theme.
No.
Okay. Okay.
No, because I don't think people would initially think ghosts. They think bad audio.
That's true.
But I have no idea if the mics are picking it up or not. And I'm not going to spend that much time in the edit checking. So
you heard it here first.
But yes, I don't know. Like, and I forget exactly how old I was when I read these. Doesn't matter. Teenage years.
And it came out 2004?
Well, in 2004, I was in 4th grade. So I was definitely like 15 or 16. And I remember loving Jacob so much because Jacob he's also a psychic and a witch. And it's such a perfect fit for Stacey because he actually gets it, especially because a lot of the conflict between her and Chad is him not necessarily not believing her, but not like him chalking up a lot of what she's experiencing now to purely trauma, which I think is also fair.
It is valid.
But, Jacob literally started having dreams about her before he knew her and then sought her out at the school. He transferred schools to find her
They're
because
meant to be.
Exactly.
I think he just understands her in a way that Chad never will because Chad is boring.
He is boring.
And we hate him.
Chad is a himbo.
He is a himbo.
Chad is a himbo. And I don't know. I feel like, I was always waiting for my Jacob to arrive at my school or show up somewhere and
smelling like lemongrass.
Smelling like lemongrass and just understanding me on a level that nobody else does. And guess what? He didn't come and I'm still single. I haven't always been single, but I'm single. And there's no Jacob. It's fine. I'll be okay.
You get to continue the...
I think so.
Okay.
I need a little moment.
Do you need a break to cry?
I need to heal a little bit. Also, I used to listen to, when I was reading these books, I would put my radio on in my room and put on...
Radio Disney.
No, I know radio station numbers are different, but it was like 98.6 or that's the temperature, the human body temperature is probably 98.7. And it would play like...
KROQ?
I don't remember the name, but it would play hits, but more of the like alternative, like praying for a God that I don't believe, like that music, Blink-182 stuff. And every time I hear those songs, I do have this like visceral, like muscle memory thing of being in my room reading these books because I would put that music on and I would read these books in my room and it's just like it's one of those like sense memory things that just brings me back to that moment where and it's a specific subset of those all songs that were popular on the radio at the time that I can't even like list them off of the top of my head, but when I hear them, I like know it. I'm
Stacey's
just like,
mom.
that's it. Not Stacey's mom. But I do also. Drea was like not very prominent in this.
I was really surprised. Like neither is Amber. Like they were.
Amber was more prominent. I would argue.
But like that whole friendship between the three girls was such the core of Blue is for Nightmares that it was really weird to have Stacey be so isolated from them. In a way, like I think, like I keep saying like it's driving me crazy. In Blue is for Nightmares, all the friends kind of band together to try and help save Drea from this thing, and Stacey is the one who is leading the cause. But they're all like they're like a coven kind of.
I do think it's partially. I do think Stacey isolated herself.
I think so.
But I also think there was a fracture in their foundation with Stacey dating Chad, even though Drea said it was fine.
And she's clearly acting like it's not.
And I also genuinely don't think that ever works out smoothly.
No.
Unless the friend who used to date the guy is now in like their soulmate relationship, I don't think it can work. I think you have to sacrifice one thing or the other.
Yeah.
But I think those are the big reasons. I think she isolated herself, and then I think Drea was. I think she meant it when she initially when she said go get him, but then I think the reality of them dating,
and
I think
her seeing it every day, especially because they're roommates, was like hard for her to deal with.
Yeah, I think it really hit her how uncomfortable it was for her, and I could see myself doing the same thing. I could see myself being like, yeah, date him. I don't want him, and then being like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah, and then like parading around in your little. I don't know, because there was a scene where I'm not weird.
I don't think you're weird. I just don't remember what you're talking about.
I'm not weird. When Stacey and Chad are like cuddling in the common room in their dorm, and then Drea keeps coming out of their room in her like little short pajama sets and like kind of strutting around, and Stacey's like really annoyed with her.
Oh, I guess I didn't necessarily really interpret that as her flaunting.
Whatever. I think Stacey takes it that way. I don't know if it's Drea. Maybe Drea is doing it subconsciously or not doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
But I think she might be doing it on purpose a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it past her.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is just a very interesting solo mission Stacey puts herself on in this one.
And that also draws her closer to Jacob as well. Because Jacob is the only one who's really like there each step of the way and knows exactly what's happening.
I don't think he handled how he approached it with her at all because he was so creepy initially.
He was so creepy.
So
so we'll get into this.
If anybody remembers, so the first instance of Jacob, when you don't know it's Jacob, is at the beginning of the book when, Stacy, in the first book, her nightmares are making her wet the bed. And in this one, her nightmares are making her throw up and get sick. And so she wakes up from a dream and she decides to go to the boiler room to do a spell. And then she hears somebody and this thing happens normal. And she sees like a red M written on the window for Maura, the little girl she babysat that died. And she had dreams about it, yada, yada. Jacob was the one in the boiler room trying to talk to her.
Yeah, and he's like, Stacy.
And it's like the middle of the night.
And then she's like running away. Yeah. Because she's freaked out and he's like chasing after her.
And like whether or not you've had the same traumatic experiences as her, nobody would handle that well.
No. Also, she's in the boiler rooms just are inherently creepy.
Yeah.
I kind of blame her for going to the boiler room I'm just kidding. I don't. That's like where she, it is weird. Doesn't make sense if you have it out of context, but that's where she goes to do her spells now because she shares the room with Amber and Andrea and there's just like no space for her.
Yeah. I mean, I also feel like if everybody's sleeping, I wouldn't want to do it in there and she would get in trouble, I think, for doing it.
Yeah.
In
So
the
like it makes
area.
sense, but it doesn't make sense at the same time. Like, Pick a better spot, but...
But yeah, and then he's always, when he's trying to find time to meet with her, he's just lurking and then he sends her that message.
He's being very like Edward Cullen.
Yeah, he sends her a message on the computer that's just like, hey, Stacey, we need to talk. Meet me at the Hangman Cafe at 11:30. And they're like, doesn't it close at 11? And it's just like, you two could meet at the cafe while it's open.
Yeah, nobody's gonna pay that much attention to you guys.
Yeah, it's just that's the one thing that really bothered me about them when they're meeting. It's like, we have to meet completely isolated. And it's just like, you guys, you really don't, though.
And it's like, especially because the reason why he wants to meet with her is because somebody is after Stacy to try and kill her. And he's trying to prevent that. So why is he asking Stacy to meet in all of these out-of-the-way places in the middle of the night? Yeah. Because it's directly, like, counterintuitive to what he wants to do.
Yeah, he's like, I'm trying to keep you safe. Then stop acting like you're stalking me.
Yeah, and stop, like, taking her out of the safety of her dorm room.
Yeah.
Into all of these weird places in the middle of the night.
One thing I did like, though, is because they didn't really talk about this in the first book, is that the Hangman Cafe, that's not the actual name of the Hangman Cafe. It's because somebody hung themselves in the cafe.
I kind of wish they had delved into that a little bit more in the first book.
Yeah, because they only talked about it because of the teenage. Also, teenagers are so fucked up. And I was reading this and I was like, I wanted to believe that this wouldn't happen, but it totally would because teenagers are so fucked up. Like, there's the group of kids who are obsessed with the crime of what happened to Veronica on campus and the whole Donovan thing. And they're, like, doing seances in the room that Veronica was murdered in.
Just try and call her back. And, like, a lot of them have transferred to that specific school.
Yeah.
Because of what happened.
And they're, like, bullies, too. And it's just so...
Yeah, they're kind of, like, shaming Stacy. Like, if you don't join us and do this seance, then you're a bad person. And like Veronica's mad at you. And you need
they tell her that they contacted her.
You need to have like a reckoning with Veronica and make things right. This is all on you. And Stacey's like,
it's so fucked up. It's one of those things where, like I said, I would love to believe that teenagers won't do that, but teenagers do fucked up shit to each other and people all the time. And I definitely believe it's a underdeveloped prefrontal cortex thing. But I was reading this and I was like, these kids, like, did they get expelled?
I hope they did. Because they were fucking crazy. Like, they were talking, like, you find out later in the book, but they were also, like, sending letters to Donovan.
And they met up with Donovan.
Yeah, and they met up with Donovan, and they were like, were they trying to get him out, or were they just...
They said they wanted to try to get him out, but obviously teenagers can't break somebody out
also,
of jail.
We'll get into more of what they did with Donovan, but it's super weird.
I was just like, this is... so sadistic and twisted. Like I said, I was definitely not a perfect teenager. Nobody was. I definitely was like meaner to people at times than I needed to be, but I had the wherewithal. If kids started doing this shit, I probably would have been like, okay. Like maybe I would have entertained like the
idea,
or just like maybe the entertainment people were getting out of, talking about it or something. But once they actually wanted to take action, I would have been like,
once they crossing that line is wild to me.
Yeah. Like it just makes me think of that My Chemical Romance song, Teenagers Scare the Living Shit Out of Me. It's just like teenagers are fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Especially the ones walking around Sephora. those are actually the tweens walking around Sephora
Yeah.
that scare the fucking shit out of me.
I think I'm more scared of tweens than teenagers.
I think so too, because teenagers want nothing to do with me and I want nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
Tweens are like, I kind of want to make you want to die.
Yeah, it's like I'm like hardcore judging this 30-year-old woman and like, why is it working?
Yeah, why am I letting you hurt my feelings? You're 12. Like, and you're buying skincare products you don't actually need and making me feel bad.
And again, why is it working?
Yeah. Maybe it's just the circle of life. Maybe I made some 30-year-olds feel bad and I just don't remember.
I don't think I had.
I didn't talk to adults.
Yeah, I was like scared to. I couldn't
I
even
was intimidated by adults.
I couldn't even.
That's
call,
the thing.
Like
I was intimidated by adults, but these tweens are not.
yes,
I think that's
and also
the
like
thing that freaks
I'm
you out.
also carrying myself like I don't think I'm that intimidating of a person. So and they sense it, they smell it, they can smell fear.
See, I have been told I'm kind of intimidating, and I don't think I am, but a handful of people have told me, like, I was kind of intimidated by you when I met you.
I could see that.
I've been told it's my Scorpio rising.
You're gonna find an excuse to bring that up in every episode.
Yeah, it's my Pluto and Jupiter in the first house as well. My Scorpio stellium.
Well, then how come I'm not intimidating? As astrologicalize that for me. Astrologize it.
Your Virgo sun, Leo rising with your moon, Cancer?
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius moon. Well, Leo risings are very like open and ready to be entertainers. So I think that could just be a part of it. You're just like ready. And the negative version of that is Leo risings like crave and need attention, you know, and that sounds bad, but like it's also true. Like I want to delete it softly, but like and like everybody wants attention, right?
Robyn just called me an attention whore.
But I think the people that do feel drawn to wanting attention, I feel like are less intimidating, because if you're intimidating people, you're not necessarily going to get their attention because they're a little like, what?
Standoffish.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like some people like once you start talking to me, but I feel like if I'm not talking and I'm just kind of quiet in a room, I feel like I give off an energy.
You're
that's
also
like,
wearing like all black.
yeah, I wear all black. I have resting bitch face. Like it's a whole bunch of things that play into it. But I have been told throughout my life, and it always throws me for a loop because I'm just like I'm like a spider. I'm more scared of you than you are me. But yeah, I've been told. And then when people say astrological things and it's placements that line up with my chart, like a lot of them, not just my rising sign. There are certain placements in my chart too where some people say commonly with this placement, people hate you for no reason. And I was like, I feel like I've experienced that too, where I just rub some people the wrong way. And I'm just like, I don't know what I did, but okay. Anyway, so teenagers are terrifying.
Yeah.
I wish this book touched on astrology a little bit more. That would be cool.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always like, I'm always like left with this, like with these books, like finishing reading them, like just wanting more of like the witchy stuff.
Yeah, and I think also one thing I did note is these books also move in a similar way to Pretty Little Liars, like pacing wise.
Yeah.
Because in Pretty Little Liars, they almost die all the time and get over it so fast.
Yeah, they do.
And like I know there is talk about there are mentions in here of, you know, like
Residual trauma.
yeah, but there is also a lot of that energy of we've all kind of like moved on or we're not affected by it. I do like that they did kind of bring up Veronica's best friend, how she was struggling, and it was Donna or Trish?
Yeah, Donna.
Donna was like kind of isolated and struggling, and I do appreciate that they did that because that was nice. But there is very much that element of like, all right, we moved on.
Yeah.
Like also kind of in the same vein of like once we sort of got COVID under control, everybody was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it's not like that weird. And I can also see a school maybe having that effect because while it did affect the whole school, the individual students involved are more affected and the rest of the school is probably just going to be like carrying on their merry way. Like if like, you know,
keep calm and carry on.
Like, yeah, like difficult things happened in my school. Students died while I was in school, but I didn't know them. They weren't even like adjacent to my social circles. So it wasn't so when I kept moving through high school, it didn't faze me because I didn't know them, you know?
I also don't know how big of a school Hillcrest is. Like how many students are there?
Well, it feels like there's only 2 dorm buildings.
It feels like there's only 6 students, and one of them is Donovan, and he's in jail.
But I also wonder, because they say, like, you know, the girls dorm, the boys dorm, but I wonder if it's by grade. So maybe they are particularly isolated from freshmen
That's a good point.
Sophomores,
Yeah.
because
there's
and I would imagine too, you would likely, I don't know, has anybody been to boarding school? Let us know. I would imagine you would probably be at least in a section of a dorm building with people in your grade.
Yeah.
Because I also feel like when I only dormed 1 year in college, but I was put with majority first year students.
Yeah, I was my entire dorm was first year
Yeah,
students.
so I think it probably feels so small because we're only with the, what are they, juniors? We're only with the junior class.
Are they juniors? Whatever.
I think they, or maybe they are seniors because then the last book is her freshman year of college, and Silver for Secrets is a summer between. So maybe it's their senior year. Mm-hmm. They're not talking about senior year that much though.
They're not.
It's a big. I feel like senior year you talk about it being senior year,
and
a lot.
even though it's like this is fall, it's like school has just basically started.
Yeah.
They didn't really talk about it that much.
Yeah, but no, I think they are seniors because I think they were juniors last year.
Anyway.
But I think they are grouped with their grade, which is making it feel a little smaller. But you're right. It is it does feel like a tiny school. It feels like everywhere they go on campus, they're for sure seeing people they know. Mm-hmm. And I feel like my high school was huge.
Mine
so
too.
like I would definitely run into people and see people I know, but I also would see a lot of people. I'd be like, I've never seen your face before.
Yeah, like my school had 5,000 students. My graduating class was like 1,101.
Yeah, same.
yeah.
That was the same for me. My school was like 4,000 to 5,000 students, and I think my graduating class was like close to 1,000, and it was a big fucking school.
Yeah, it took 2.5 hours to read off everybody's names at the graduation ceremony.
They split us into two. It was happening simultaneously on two sides of the auditorium, so it was like A through H or whatever, and then like whatever, so that they could get through it faster.
The rest of them, the rest of those plebes.
Yeah, they split the alphabet up into two sides and then like guided families to the correct side, which I think is the good way to do it because there's so many goddamn students. And I think I may have told this story before, but there were so many students at my school that I didn't know who was popular.
Oh yeah, we didn't really have cliques at my school either.
We had we had groups and like I guess the ASB kids were popular, but
the ASB.
I had no idea who was popular though. I was just very into my own group. I was also really like oblivious to most rumors. I found out a lot of rumors about me once I graduated, which I find really funny because I was just moving through my life doing my thing. But my senior year, I may have told this already. I like lightly this guy and I lightly rear-ended each other in the parking lot, and then the next day, my friend was like, "You got into a car accident with Nathan Moss yesterday," and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "How do you know this?" She's like, "He's like the most popular guy in school," and I was like, "That's the first day I've met him." I don't know.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of people were like, "Oh yeah, I heard about that. I heard about the car accident." I was like, "It's not a car accident. We were both backing out and we did one of these." Oh no! Like it was nothing
Your cars
happened.
just kissed.
Yeah, our bumpers kissed, and then we exchanged phone numbers, and both of us decided it was not a big deal and moved on. But I guess what I didn't like is everybody was saying I hit him. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not popular, and he is.
Nathan Moss. I have a question about Jacob's eye color, and this makes him petty, but she describes his eyes a lot.
Like the sea after a storm.
But then she calls them alternatively pale blue and then slate blue.
What exactly is slate blue? I guess I don't really know.
I think grayish blue.
I think
But
eyes
to
can
me,
change color
like
with your clothes.
slate is darker than pale.
I think eyes can look different with the color of the clothes you're wearing.
No, eyes can only look one color at one time, all the time, forever, in perpetuity.
Here's one thing I will say. You have beautiful brown eyes. Brown eyes, I think, are less likely to be malleable with your outfits.
My eyes never change. They are always very dark.
My eyes are green, and there are some days where like the center can look, if I'm wearing a green shirt, they'll like pop more in a different way. Certain colors will bring them out and they'll look different.
Must be nice.
So I'm saying I think because of your personal experience as a brown-eyed girl, I think that's throwing you for a loop.
Yeah, I think so. Must be nice. Must be nice.
I just am more light sensitive.
Yeah.
And I think green eyes indicate like incest deep in like back. Have you heard that?
No.
There's like something where it's like it's either green or blue eyes like indicate like incest way back in the day or something like that.
Ooh.
But blue and green eyes are more sensitive to the light too.
I just had like a lot of people saying like, "Oh yeah, you have black eyes," and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
They're very dark, but I wouldn't look at you and think you have black eyes.
I know. They're like, she has black hair and black eyes, and I'm like, you guys are dumb, and I fucking hate you all.
You have slate black eyes.
You have slate black eyes. Anyway.
But lawyered.
No, that's fair. I think it was just me carrying over, like, in my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
totally
exactly like you said.
I completely understand. But I think blue eyes, like I said, my eyes kind of do that. I think blue eyes are very susceptible to that aggressive shift.
Yeah. Okay.
Like very much so. Like I've even noticed it in some of my friends with blue eyes. I'm just like, your eyes are ice blue today. Yesterday they were like an ocean blue. So
okay.
So let Jacob live his blue-eyed life.
I also like,
and he's a witch.
I think it's interesting to note, we'll get back to Jacob, but like with Stacy, she spent like all of book one just pining after this normcore lame-o. And then as soon as she gets him, she's like taking any excuse to like never be alone with him.
I mean, is she... We don't know how the rest of that school year in the summer played out. She's, like we said, she's isolating herself because of these dreams. So maybe that's part of it. But she does also talk about, though, feeling some sort of like physiological response to Jacob that she's never felt before. And I...
lust.
And I think there could be a part of it. She was crushing on Chad, but I think she could have been crushing on Chad more of the idea of him because she was very jealous of Drea. So I think it's that thing of like she
wanted what she couldn't have.
And she confused that for being attracted to him and crushing on him and wanting him.
And like really being in love with him.
Yeah, when in reality, the connection she starts to feel with Jacob is confusing her because she's like, oh, is this what like real deep soulful attraction feels like?
And I think it definitely is in their case.
Yeah, and like, because I mean, this is very different, but like my freshman year of high school, I had a boyfriend and I don't think I ever really had deep feelings for him. I think I was more attracted to just the idea of having a boyfriend and checking that box.
Yeah.
So I think, and like he was a very perfectly nice guy, but like, yeah, I looking back, I just don't think I ever like really deeply had feelings for him. I think I just wanted I wanted a boyfriend, and I think it could kind of be that with her. Like she wanted what Drea has, so her brain manifested that literally, and then there was like a little spark between them. So I think
there's just what she had with Jacob was more authentic and real.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Plus, Chad's annoying.
Chad is so annoying.
What's next on the agenda? Oh wait, I have one thing to say about the beginning of the book real quick. I wrote this down because I related a lot as somebody who was very much a C's get degrees kind of girl in subjects she didn't care about. It was on page 31. She says, pounding away at my bio notes, hoping the words in bold will somehow cosmically soak in my brain.
Yeah.
That's how I studied. Specifically, that's how I studied bio.
I was the kind of person who was like trying to highlight things, but I was like, highlight what's important. And then I just ended up highlighting the entire page because I'm just like, everything is important.
I had a really hard time discerning what was important as well. My brain isn't meant for the typical school structure.
Yeah. No, mine.
And it's definitely given me a complex today.
It's hard. Like, neurodivergent brains just aren't, school is not built for them. Like traditional school as we know it.
And it's also like,
not built for
and
them.
I got that messaging so much that I was just lazier. You're so smart if you just tried harder. And it's just that thing of like, I wish there had been more awareness and education about like, maybe I needed more support. Maybe I needed to go see a psychiatrist who could like look at my brain and just see like, you know, and my mom used to even make comments like, I would have loved to send you to a private school that could have like worked better for your brain. But nobody would acknowledge that, oh, maybe you are neurodivergent. Yeah. And so I have this like major lazy complex that now makes me a workaholic, which is a problem because I was told I was lazy so much. And now I'm just like, oh, I need to find balance because I'm clearly not lazy and I now know I'm not stupid, but I have that still core wound of just being told like, it's your fault that you're not doing well in school. And it's just like, I promise you I'm trying.
I think I have the same thing where I get a job and I kind of will take on too much and do too much. And I'm like doing like 3 or 4 things that aren't really part of my job description in an attempt to like prove myself. And then that ends with people taking advantage.
Yeah. I've definitely been taken advantage of because of that. But that when I read that, I was just like, Stacey and me are one and the same.
Yeah.
Especially with biology.
Do you have any favorite scenes?
Scenes. I wrote a couple of things down and I highlighted some stuff that I liked, but let's see why, because I didn't write down why.
You just highlighted or underlined. Underline everything because it's all important.
Oh, talking about the hangman. We already discussed that. This is also another kind of one-off thing that I thought was funny when she says she is checking her email right before she gets the first like email from Jacob. She says like there are 5 messages in my inbox, 2 opportunities to work from home and make $5,000 per month. And I was just like, wow, nothing has changed. Like, people are still doing that. I just thought that was so interesting because this was written in the early 2000s and that was in there. And today, you cannot go online without somebody being like, I work 2 hours a week and I make 6 figures a month.
Yeah.
And like, I just thought that was funny. Favorite scenes altogether, though, I don't know. I really liked the henna scene that's basically a metaphor for them fucking.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
So Jacob doesn't want to do spells. Like, they're very personal to him. And so she wants to do a spell with him. He kind of limits that. And then when they finally do, it's sort of a like meditative henna thing where they're drawing symbols on each other's body, which honestly sounds very hot. And the way it was written, I was like, I kind of had to like reread it. I was like, are they fucking or are they still doing the spell?
It's very clear that they're both very turned on because they're drawing stuff, like she's drawing stuff on his body and he's drawing stuff on her body. And it's very like intimate and yeah, they're basically having sex without having sex.
And they do like almost kiss in that moment. Yeah. Or do they don't actually kiss. They almost do. Because they get interrupted by Tobias.
I feel like they start to and then they get interrupted.
Right. They like I just was like, just make them fuck. I mean, I know teen books, you have to be like conscious or whatever. Yeah. But I was like, they're fucking. Like in my head, I was like, they're drawing on each other and fucking. Like he's inside her.
And she's like, her breath is catching. And he's
like they were very like
intensely looking into each other's eyes.
Yeah, it was hot.
It was hot.
Yeah, and then and then she has her clarity moment when she looks at all the symbols he drew on her. But part of me was
what
like,
are the symbols? Remind me of the symbols again.
Oh fuck, what did he draw on her? He drew.
What page is the?
I don't remember where that is, but what did he draw?
He drew a moon, a set of keys. How did he do that?
Right.
A giant X, the rune for partnership, she said, and a smallish structure of some sort, maybe the tool shed from my nightmare, since there's a hammer just below it. And then there's a crudely drawn car, a tree, and a stick-figured girl jumping rope. I'm just laughing at like in my head, they're not very good drawings.
How cool would it be if they were like extremely detailed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picturing like full finger painting. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm picturing. So like not like crudely drawn, just how she said.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
A part of me does not understand the purpose of this spell.
I don't either.
Outside of just making it hot and heavy.
What were their reasonings for this?
It was like just, I don't know, a connection, a meditative thing to trust each other. Like they have to fully trust each other to do it, and the symbols are gonna like answer her questions. Like I don't really know, but I don't know.
Okay. Here we go. It's supposed to create trust between them because they have to like trust each other to draw
to fuck,
not a penis on their body.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like a tool to make it hot and heavy without them fucking.
Yeah, it doesn't quite like I don't understand how that did anything but stoke the flames of their hormonal induced lust.
Yeah. I don't like how the mom storyline evolved because we lacked so much of it in book 1.
Yeah.
I would have appreciated like half the information we got about the mom and her backstory. I would have appreciated that in Blues for Nightmares, and then coming back to it. And maybe that's purely a thing of like she didn't know she was going to write a second book.
Yeah.
But
I just think a lot of things pop up in this book that like she has to establish, and it's like clear that they've been there for a while, but it's like it feels like she just thought of them, so she's putting them in the book. Like I think it would have been like you said, I wanted more of Stacey's relationship with her mom because we literally don't meet her mom until White is for Magic. Really,
she calls her once.
Yeah, but it's like we don't really spend any time with her mom until this book, and we don't really get a sense of their relationship other than what Stacey is telling us. Mm-hmm. And Stacey is not a reliable narrator. And I think it would have been more interesting to have that established. But more than that, I think the Hangman Cafe would have been interesting to have established because it's like this cult thing on campus. And also, I think it would have been really interesting if Jacob was introduced a little, or like in Blues for Nightmares. Maybe like at the end of the book, she kind of runs into this guy when she's leaving her dorm or something, and they kind of have this moment and spark, and then she kind of forgets about it.
Well, they
until
had that
this.
moment at orientation.
Yeah, but like it was such a throwaway moment that I totally missed it, and then I had to go back and look.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, a lot in this book felt like shoving stuff in out of being unprepared to write
like
a
just
second
to
book.
make it work for the plot.
Yeah, I mean, same with the, with the how it all ties together, like with Miles, like.
Yeah, he like I don't think we knew. So Miles is the one who's been threatening Stacy.
He murdered Maura, the little girl that she babysat when she was a kid that she first had dreams about.
And we talked about that. She talked about that in book 1, but we didn't know the name of the guy who killed her.
Yeah, and
And we
also
didn't know how he killed her.
And we also didn't really know. I mean, maybe it was briefly mentioned. We didn't really know if he went to jail.
Yeah.
Like, it was all this stuff, and like it would have
And
also
then it was
been
like
cool.
Stacy
if,
wrote him a letter, and that was why he was targeting her when he got out of prison.
that I think if the rest of it had been sprinkled sooner, I think that detail of her remembering would have been fine.
Yeah, because it makes sense that she wouldn't remember because it was such a traumatic time. But like so much of it was just being thrown at us that it was like.
Yeah, because the whole thing is that a through line of her dreams and everything is like, will you keep your promise? And she's like, I have no fucking idea what this promise I made was. But then it turns out that the promise she made was she wrote an angry letter to Miles after he went to jail for killing Maura about how I promise that at your like parole hearing 4 years later, like I will like basically come and make sure you can't hurt anybody else. Like I promise that I will whatever.
Like, I'm going to follow you for the rest of your life. Like, you're never going to know a moment's peace, basically.
Yeah, and that made him decide to seek revenge after he got out of jail, which feels a little flat to me. Like,
Yeah,
a
it didn't
13-year-old
feel
wrote
like,
you a letter and you decided you want to kill her.
it didn't feel like enough of a reason. To me, it would have been better if he like found out somehow through the trial that Stacy was the one who turned him in and fixated his revenge on her because of that. More so than because of a dumb letter that a 13-year-old wrote.
Yeah, like if her testimony put him away or something, that would have been more interesting. But yeah, it did feel a little bit like, dude.
I know, like get like
Because
really,
also-
you're on parole, you're good. You're golden.
Because also the way that he walked through what went down with Maura that day, and I'm not like minimizing how fucked up it is what he was doing, but it didn't sound like he was this like serial like creep.
He basically accidentally killed her.
Yeah, so it was like kind of a weird thing of just like the events that transpired to me are not adding up to as psychotic of behavior as you're presenting right now.
And I think maybe that is, do you think that's the case of the author like received notes from the editor to tone down the darkness a little bit? And that's why she had
it is
to,
a YA book?
Yeah, because it's a young adult book, she couldn't have him outright like have him assault and then brutally murder this little girl. So she had to like make it a little tamer.
Maybe. But I think there are still ways to like tamely and lightly share that information to like, even just like a detail about how he'd done this before and he kept doing, because that to me would be like, okay, then you're just kind of this deranged guy.
Yeah.
But it sounded like Maura was the first
Yeah,
child
so like
he
the
preyed
circumstances that happened with Maura is that
he was in the neighborhood. He like lured her in his car and gave her some sort of like alcoholic beverage that made her sick, and then
which is why Stacy keeps throwing up.
Yeah, was it a motorcycle or a car? And I
think
remember.
it was a car.
Okay, and then he gets into a car accident. She's not buckled in. She flies out of the car. She has injuries. He panics and then puts her in a shed and then like walks away from the situation and then leaves it at that.
And then she dies from her injuries.
Yeah, so like we can presume that he was gonna do some terrible things to her when they got to wherever they were going.
Yeah,
but it's kind of like I don't know, the situation falls a little flat for me based on the behavior he now has in this like
where he's like the big bad.
Yeah, and he's like
And
been
really
plotting his revenge for all 4 years he's been in jail. Been like, just wait, Stacey Brown, I'm coming.
he's just like doing push-ups and like got a tattoo of like Stacey's
throwing
face.
darts at her photo. Like,
But like, so like, and then once we finally reveal what happens to Mara, because it's like, I don't want to like minimize it either because it's horrible what happened to her, but because it's not as we built it up in our heads from book 1, and it kind of is just like, really that's it?
Yeah.
Which sounds horrible, but like, that's kind of how you feel.
Yeah. I think that's it is coming from how accidental the situation is.
Like, it was not premeditated at all.
No, and it wasn't premeditated. And the way he's behaving right now is the behavior of a man who has had a lot of premeditated crimes under his belt.
He's basically acting like he is a hardened like serial killer. Like he's done this before.
Yeah, and like, could he
again.
have become that? Absolutely. Like, could this have been?
But it sounded like you said before, like this was Mara was the first time he had ever done that.
Yeah, and it feels like he would have more beef with Stacey if he'd been successfully doing this for a while and then got caught because of this one situation.
Weird witchy girl.
Yeah, that would make more sense to me. But I feel like a lot of the book kind of plays out, like falls a little flat in that way. Like I said, with everything with her mom, it's just like,
I just wanted more. Like,
okay. Like,
it happened, the resolution between her and her mom happened so quickly in the book, and it's because it's paced so quickly. Like everything has to go boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
boom,
for
boom.
teenagers.
Exactly. But I feel like if we had more of that, like you said, the tension in the first book of maybe like the mom tries to reach out to Stacey after everything happens with Drea and Stacey shuts it down or something. And then like that would have added just that little more to make it more like I liked what she was trying to do with the situation with her mom. And how her mom was like, I just ignored that part of myself and I pushed it down and I didn't want to see you go through the same thing. It wasn't executed well.
I also wanted it to be that the mom finally shows up on campus to talk to Stacey and surprises her there because she's having nightmares about Stacey.
That would have been really cool.
That's what I thought was happening.
Separate people have nightmares about this thing about Stacey and
Stacey's having nightmares.
And Stacey's having nightmares. And the fact that now this is something that she and her mom can connect with again because her mom is opening up and accepting that side of herself.
Also, like,
that's a gene.
Thank you.
You gotta rewrite it.
But also, like, that would have been, her mom has ignored these things for years and, like, says she'll get these and then distract herself. But she obviously can't distract herself from a nightmare about her own daughter.
Exactly. Especially after what happened to her daughter the year before.
So that's because I couldn't remember. I had no memory of the mom stuff when rereading this book. And so I was genuinely like when the mom first called and showed concern, I was like, oh, is her mom having dreams about her now?
Yeah.
So that I would have kind of liked that better. I think that would have made it make a little bit more sense why she's suddenly so worried. Yeah, because I still don't understand why she suddenly got so worried right now.
I think it's a little bit of the author trying to keep it short and trying to like have her cake and eat it too, where she has this Stacey's super strong connection with Jacob, but she also wants to like have this resolution with her mom. And it's just like, if you want to do that, you have to expand on the novel and you have to make it a little longer. Yeah. You just have to hit those emotional moments.
Totally. Yeah. But who knows what was happening during the writing process and what people were saying.
Yeah, like what her editor was saying.
But one thing I would like to say is, why is the manager of the coffee shop named Gunther? The Hangman Cafe.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I wrote it down
and I wanted to talk to you about it so badly.
I was like, what is this?
Because this was around like when Friends was still out.
Yeah.
That's hilarious to me.
Like, I was just like, either it's so funny and fun or you need to be more creative.
Yeah.
Because the name, it would also be different if, Gunther and Friends had a less distinct name and it happened to be that.
Yeah,
but
if
Gunther,
his name was like Jim.
Yeah, but Gunther managing the coffee shop, that's Friends. And then Gunther manages the Hangman Cafe, that is essentially a coffee shop. Like, guys.
Oh, that's so funny. Who would you cast as the characters?
Because the people I'm starting to think of are like too old to play these
characters now. That's what I'm thinking now,
and
I'm thinking let's do it like it was going to be made 10 or 15 years ago because I have no idea who.
Or could it just be like we could age of the actors doesn't matter, we can time warp.
Yes, let's do that.
Because-
Because I don't know any contemporary actors nowadays. Like, I'm not familiar with the younger generation of actors.
Right.
Because I'm old.
I also like, because when we were talking before we started recording, the first actor for Jacob that came to mind was Logan Lerman.
Super hot.
Super hot. I've said this before, I'll say it again. My type of man is the type of man that looks like he smells bad but doesn't.
Yeah.
And I
then,
think
like,
Jacob probably looks like he smells
and I was
like a
like
little disheveled.
trying to think of like who would be a good Stacy, and I was trying to think of like actors now, like if this movie was going to be made and come out next year, and the only person I could think of was Zendaya, which I'm not mad about.
No, that'd be cool.
She would be good, but I was like I couldn't think of anybody beyond that.
Zendaya's a good answer. That would be very.
I know, and I was like, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I'm sticking with that for Stacy.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with Zendaya.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just like I read these books kind of around this time, but my brain also went to Jennifer Lawrence.
Ooh.
When she was
Or
like
should
Katniss
she be
age.
Drea?
Oh, instead of like brown hair,
think
blonde
she
hair.
kind of
She could be a Drea.
She looks like she could be Drea.
Yeah. Yeah. Either or, I think. Yeah, she could be either or.
I'm thinking for Jacob, do you know Shane West from Walk to Remember?
Oh, yeah. It's not clicking as much for me, but I'm happy for you. I don't know. I'm having trouble thinking of the men that I was head over heels for as a
Who would you
teenager.
cast as Chad?
Oh. I don't know. I'm just trying
I'm
to.
trying to think of like a really conventionally attractive yet boring looking man. That sounds super mean.
I'm
But
just
whatever.
I'm just trying to think of the. I don't know. Maybe Chad could be like a Jared Padalecki,
Yeah, I could see that.
especially like in his Gilmore Girls era.
Yeah. Who else am I thinking? Oh, you know who could be a good Jacob? And it's not just because I saw Dune, but it is Timothée Chalamet.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I feel like he gives me more PJ vibes.
Oh, you know what? Let's
Because-
change it. He's a good PJ because
because
he's
also-
kind of like weird looking.
Also, like did you see Don't Look Up?
I didn't.
Well, his character in Don't Look Up is so fucking weird.
Okay, yeah, and he's like funny.
Yeah.
he has like really good comedic timing.
I think he could morph into that character very well.
I think he could. I see.
I
him.
think Timothée Chalamet is an attractive man, but I think he could work as Chad, but I don't think
Oh,
he's
not Chad. I was talking about Jacob.
Oh, Jacob. And I think he could work, but I think I don't quite see him in that level of attractiveness. It could work. Like if it were to happen, I wouldn't be mad at it. But I see him
You
a
know
little more
who
as
would
PJ.
probably be a Chad, like Liam Hemsworth.
Yeah, like that type.
I'm like thinking like
Liam
very
Hemsworth
conventional.
or like what's his face who plays Captain America?
Oh yeah, Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, yeah. That very American.
Yeah, just like all American boy.
Chiseled American, blonde hair, blue eyes, like yeah, look. Who else? And I'm just stuck like
On White Boys.
on white boys.
You know who else? He's
What about
so,
Amber?
Wait, I have one more.
Okay.
For Jace. He's so old, but I also like it. Diego Luna.
I don't know who that is.
He was in. Have you seen Rogue One?
Have you seen what?
Rogue One, the Star Wars.
Yes.
Okay, he was the guy. He was the guy.
I saw it once in theaters when it came
Okay,
out.
he was also like he's like a really I don't know. I think he's cute. I think he could look. I'll show you a picture of him after we finish.
Like I remember the character you're talking about, but it's like I can't form the face in my mind's eye because I just don't remember. But yeah, what about Amber?
Amber,
Who's weird?
who's really weird looking?
I don't think Amber's weird looking. I think
No,
she's
I
probably
know.
like very. I think she's super cute. She's just fucking weird.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The only person that's coming to mind is Anya Taylor-Joy, and I don't like that.
Why?
I mean, I think it could work, but I want to find somebody better. I feel like there's somebody out there who's
Why is
better.
Sophia Turner coming to mind? She was. She's Joe Jonas's ex-wife.
Oh, okay, Sophie Turner. Okay.
Sophie Turner. Sorry.
Yeah. Are we thinking it has to be redhead, or can we like race bend?
I'm definitely open to race bending. Because I am a white girl, so unless explicitly told, I picture characters as white just because like that's what the brain
Yeah.
does, you know? But I never pictured Stacey as a Zendaya type, but that works so well.
This is hard. I'm just like, this is hard. I keep thinking of actors and then their names just leave me as soon as I think of them.
Right.
Who do you guys would think would be a good Amber?
Yeah, Amber's a tough one because it all depends on that specific performance, and I can't even think of an example of that type of character that's
Yeah.
already shown in TV shows. And it's the type of thing of like, whoever would be cast in that part, you would probably be like, and then they would do it and you'd be like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally sure. Like the first person I thought of was Rebel Wilson. Because she's so funny. And I feel like she would do the quirk very fun.
Anna Kendrick.
Oh, Anna Kendrick would be fun as Amber. That's another one too. Yeah, I see that. What about who would play Veronica?
Why is all that, when I was thinking of this, all that came to mind was like Scarlett Johansson.
For Veronica.
And
Or, oh shoot, like who? I don't know, like Brie Larson. She played a mean girl at one point or something.
Sarah Paxton or whatever. She was like everywhere in the early 2000s and she played a lot of mean girls.
Sarah
Blonde.
Paxton.
I don't know if that's her last name, but have you seen Sleepover?
Yeah.
She was the mean
We
girl.
watched it together. Do you remember?
Oh my God, I fuck you. That's right, because you like Evan
Because
Peters.
I love Evan Peters. Oh my God, can Evan
He
Peters
would be PJ.
Or he could also be a Jacob.
You just wanted to be Jacob because you're in
I
love
love
with
Evan
him?
Peters. He would be a very good PJ, but I think he would also be a very good Jacob.
I
Because
think he would be a
he
good-
plays the creep factor and the charm factor really well.
But I think he could be a good PJ because he was basically PJ in Sleepover. He played SpongeBob.
I mean, no, because in Sleepover, he's just like innocently weird and PJ's a little more maliciously weird.
He could do that though.
That's
I'll
true.
never be able to look at Evan Peters in a sexual way because of that time in American Horror Story where he had that awful,
Oh, he had the
awful
bowl
wig
cut.
that really like.
He was playing like a computer nerd, and I think the Apocalypse season or something.
I had like
that.
a visceral reaction, like Robyn showed me, and I was like, I hate.
It's a really upsetting wig, and I was
hate it
like,
so
and I told her,
much.
I was like, is it a problem that I still love Evan Peters just as much looking this fucking stupid?
and I said yes.
I'm also, the thing too is like, I am just very attracted to men who are good at acting. Like when even like in the most twisted, fucked up roles that if they're good at it, I just find myself attracted. Like when the last season of Stranger Things came out and Jamie Campbell Bower was playing Vecna.
Oh my God.
And like before he transformed, spoilers if you haven't seen it, but it's been out for a while, so that's on you. But in his like final like monologue at the end, I was just like, I am so attracted to this
like,
man.
I'm so turned on right now.
He's so hot because he's so good at it, you know?
He could be an interesting Jacob.
Jamie Campbell Bower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else could be a good? I had the name and it went away. Oh, no, it's gone.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also just running through my head of like, there are those like, I didn't really watch these shows. They were a little past my time, but you know, I'm sure like the like Teen Wolf guys, like Dylan O'Brien could probably fit in somewhere. Like those other
the main
guys.
character who plays like the main character's so cute. He was that little kid in Made in Manhattan. I don't remember the name.
Yeah, they're like a lot of like those guys could fit
Or, like,
into this really well.
I've never seen Victorious, but the guy in it, one of the guys in it, is
I didn't really
pretty
watch
cute.
Victorious.
He could be a good Jacob too. I think Avon Jogia.
I don't remember who you're talking about. Now that I think Dylan O'Brien would fit in somewhere. He's great.
He could be PJ. We're typecasting now.
I don't know. I also just like I don't think PJ should be conventionally attractive.
We're gonna have a hard time finding somebody who's not conventionally attractive in Hollywood.
There are like if you look at people that people still find very attractive, like Jeremy Allen White. Like he's not like necessarily like what you would call quote unquote conventional, and I hate that term, but like he's a little more unique looking, but he's still very attractive. There are definitely a lot of people out there like that where it's like he's so hot, but he's not like who I would have expected to look at and think is hot.
You know who'd be really good as a Chad? It's Jacob Elordi.
Yeah.
Because you think of like hot guy. Boom.
Yeah.
You know who could be a good PJ? Is the guy Saltburn, the Saltburn guy.
Oh, Barry Keegan, or however
Yeah.
you say it.
Keegan, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
That's what I said.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Oh, I thought you were correcting me.
No,
and I
no,
was like,
I was
that's
just
what I said.
No, I was saying Keegan. Like, oh yeah, Keegan.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's like, yeah, he's got a very, very unique face, but he's also like got that attractive charm.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's still mad at me for telling him to watch Saltburn.
There's a lot of like really upsetting scenes in Saltburn.
Honestly, the scene my dad is the most upset about is the penis scene, and I find it is really flagging maybe some internalized misogyny that he's unaware of at the idea of
whips out his penis, or when he fucks the grave.
No, when he whips out his penis at the end, because I think like for people of like my dad's generation, they're not used to seeing penises on screen, and I think for a lot of people it's jarring, and that's definitely that like for all of us it's that internalized misogyny of no, I'm supposed to see a woman's parts, not a man's parts.
It's always like every time I see one I'm like, oh god, that's a penis.
I always appreciate it though, because I'm just like, thank God. Like women have been getting naked on camera far too long, and
no, I'm like, it's just for a second I'm just kind of like, whoa.
Yeah, but yeah,
he didn't mind the bathwater scene.
I mean, I think there was a lot that was disturbing to him, but he's when he's mentioned being quote unquote upset with me for telling him to watch it, he brings up the final scene. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
We could talk about this. If you guys, I'm having trouble thinking of actresses that could play Amber. If you guys have any, like, they all just left my head. Please let us know what you think.
I think Anna Kendrick is probably the best, but even then that fit doesn't like super click.
No, like I know there's somebody better out there.
She could definitely do it well and make it work. Maybe it's a no name. Maybe it's somebody's big break. That's the part for somebody's big break that we're just waiting for. Or maybe it's like, one of the girls on fucking Yellow Jackets or something.
Yeah.
Somebody on there could play Amber. But yeah, like I said, that's a hard part to cast because it's not that visual. It's all behavioral. So if somebody hasn't done a role like that, it's like, can they do this?
Yeah.
Can they be this weird?
Yeah. Can they flash an
Can
old
they
man?
be this rude and weird?
Can they continuously pick a wedgie?
Also, Amber just like, I remember reading this book and thinking she was so cool and like quirky and unique and funny when I was a teenager. But now I look at her and I'm just like, this bitch fucking sucks.
Yeah, she's like trying too hard too.
She's trying she's a pick-me.
She is a pick-me.
She's trying so fucking hard to be weird and quirky. And
whereas Stacy's just weird because she's a witch.
Yeah, and she bothers me so much. Every time she's talking, she's always like, I understand breaking tension with humor, but she's making jokes at inappropriate times and like not reading the room.
Think
and
that the Amber problem is because she doesn't have quite enough characterization. We don't know her motivations. We don't really know why she's acting like this. Maybe she has a reason, but we don't know because the author hasn't shown us this or told us.
Yeah, and I feel like we never do get that.
And I think it's because none of the characters, aside from like the really main ones, like Stacy and Drea, sometimes
we get a little info about Drea just because she's the subject of the danger in the first book.
It's
we don't know
nothing beyond.
We don't know anything about Chad's life.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about PJ's life.
We don't know anything beyond these characters of what like. Drea's the pretty one, Stacy's the witch, Amber's the weird one, PJ's the weird one, Chad's the handsome one, and there's nothing more to it than that.
Yeah.
So I don't like, I'm trying to, like, Amber is annoying, and I think I'm also so annoyed with her because there's just nothing more to her than that.
Yeah, maybe that's it too. It's just, she's just mean and bad at reading the room and trying too hard. Should we talk about the weird fucked up thing the teens did in the whatever building?
Please, let's do it.
So they were planning another seance that they wanted to get Stacy at. PJ was trying to be a double agent. I guess he was doing it badly. But
it also seemed like he was kind of like drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit.
A little bit. I think he was.
It was weird.
But they basically tried to lure her there, and what they did is they went to visit Donovan in jail and got recordings of him saying, "Hello, Stacy, welcome back," or whatever.
Super creepy
and
stuff.
They were playing it over the like loudspeaker in that building, and they were prepping for a seance, which is like so fucked up. Like after somebody tries to kill you, like It's so horrible. And then they aren't connected to Miles at all. He just took advantage of these teenagers trying to plot this thing. And then he hid in the basement waiting to, kill Stacy essentially. And then like Jacob comes and saves the day.
Yeah. And they also kidnapped Drea.
Right. They did
And
kidnap
I'm just
her.
like, can Stacy not have one moment to herself, Drea? You need to be kidnapped. This is Stacy's time to shine, okay? This is when it's her life in danger and you're just trying to steal. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, but once it was like kind of clear that it was like Donovan was on the loudspeaker, I did have that thought of like, oh, I wonder if they got like audio of Drea to lure her there. But then it was like, no, she's actually kidnapped.
I thought that would have been better than having her kidnapped.
Also, teenagers can't kidnap someone.
They didn't it's not like they tied her up or
they just locked her in a classroom, right?
Yeah, and I'm just like, why didn't they just get recording? That would have been way better. I think I would have been more okay with Stacy being like, I have to save Drea if like Drea was like somewhere else completely. And the only reason they found her was because they were like, Stacy went after you. And Drea's like, well, obviously I'm here. I don't know. It was just annoying.
Also, how
Drea trying to make it all about herself all over.
Also, how Stacy and Chad break up at the end.
They don't really break up because they don't say it.
But they say friends?
Yeah.
Friends.
They kind of like look at each other. She's like, it's a moment of understanding. A look passes between them. And then she's like, friends?
Yeah, like in the
It's
aftermath
so
of the whole
weird.
event, the cops are there, everybody's there, like Drea's calming down. She's sitting with Chad and he walks over and they have like a little talk. Because also Chad saw Stacy kind of almost kiss Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a whole like squabble. But
then Stacy also saw Chad almost kiss Drea.
yeah, kind of. I think that one was less clear, but it was definitely like, vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like they see each other, he's with Dre, he walks over and they just have this moment of like I love you too, friends. And that's like how they break up. And then he goes back to Drea seemingly to get back together with her.
Yeah, because like Drea, he put his jacket around Drea's shoulders because she was traumatized.
Yeah. And then, I prefer Stacy with Jacob.
I do too, but that's just a shitty breakup.
Or is it super polite?
I wish they would have talked more. I wish they would have had a better conversation where like Stacy, I don't know, they could have had more sharing of what they felt about the end of the relationship. It just felt very like surface level.
Yeah, but I think their relationship never got that deep either.
It's true, but like, I don't know. I
definitely found it weird because like even though it was clear that they broke up, I feel like you should say we're breaking up.
Yeah.
But I mean, they both had other interests, so I guess it's not really a painful breakup when you're both like,
yeah,
we both want to go over
yeah,
there.
like Chad and Drea clearly want to get back together. Their feelings never really went away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Because Drea also admits that to Stacey. She says,
she does.
I'm in love with him. I never stopped.
And she's like, I'm sorry, I tried.
And then Stacey's like, I can't talk about this right now. I'm about to die. Which is so funny because like
Drea, this is so not the time.
Well, Drea also knows what's going on too,
know.
and it's just like we have to talk. It's just, can you wait until I survive Saturday night?
Wasn't it like Stacey was like in the middle of something, and Drea was like, I need to talk to you, and Stacey's like, we'll talk later. And she's like, no, I have to tell you something right now.
I think she was going to meet Jacob to try to get him to do the spell with her. Oh, and she finally goes to the boys' dorm. The boys were always coming to the girls' dorm, and then she finally goes over there. And we see how they sneak each other in, which I thought was fun because I was wondering how they do that outside of climbing through windows. But yeah, I don't know. The breakup was weird. Also, both books end with a kiss with the man she wants, and that just annoyed me.
It's very YA.
Yeah, well, just like both of them end like that.
All of her problems are solved with a lusty kiss.
If all 4 of these books end that way, I'm going to be...
I can't remember. Well, obviously, Silver's for Secrets does not end that way.
When I was approaching the last few pages, I was like, oh, she's getting... And I was like, this is exactly how it ends with her kissing Chad. And
it's a kiss full of promise, of trust, and of all that is magic.
Because they lit the white candle.
Yeah. White is for magic.
Which feels weird because white sometimes symbolizes purity and like,
and
they fuck, right? I hope they do.
I don't know. I don't think she can say that. But white also like represents mourning in Eastern cultures.
Teens definitely fuck in YA books though. Like maybe it's not that detailed, but Judy Blume's Forever, which we will cover, they have detailed sex.
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe it's like a closed door. I don't maybe the kiss is full of such promise and all that is magic because they're getting down to it after we leave.
Yeah. I feel like maybe it's a topic of conversation in Silvers for Secrets, like them trying to do it.
Well, they're definitely like all together in a house, no parental supervision, and they're technically all adults at that point. So I feel like
yeah.
maybe she can't really, maybe there's like a morality clause where she can't say that they're fucking until they're adults.
No, teens.
No, I know, but like people, I don't know. You know,
I hear what you're saying, but if that would be the case if there was no teenagers, like minors fucking in YA books, and it happens.
No, I know it does. I'm just saying maybe in this particular one, the author did not want to, or the editors or the publishers didn't want that.
But they're okay with the henna basically fucking scene.
Yeah, because they're like, teens don't get symbolism.
Maybe. I mean, I can't remember what I thought about that scene when I
definitely
was a
didn't
teenager.
pick up on that when I was a teenager.
I don't think I did either. But I don't know. I want them to fuck because it'll probably be magical.
They're going to start levitating.
Ugh. Stressful. His dick will levitate.
Into her vagina.
Yeah, we're mature.
Yeah. Okay, but I do want to ask this question. Is Jacob a manic pixie dream boy?
I think as of right now, possibly, but I think we get more information about his life in the next book. And I feel
but
I feel like I feel like that's not going to be the only interesting theme about him.
No, but as of right now, in White is for Magic.
Kind of.
Yeah, he's definitely a manic pixie dream boy. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
They're not always a bad thing.
No. And I appreciate it. And I loved him as a teenager. And I just wanted my Jacob. Still waiting. If you're a Jacob out there and I don't know.
You know who would be a good Jacob is Milo Ventimiglia.
Ooh, I love that.
Like as Jess, Jacob.
But like Jess mixed a little bit with young Jack in This Is Us.
Yes.
Because like Jacob's not Jess.
No.
Vibes.
No, but like kind of the bad boy vibes. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah.
The enigmatic mystery boy.
Yeah, but I think he gives off more like loving Jack.
Yeah.
In This Is Us vibes. Oh, I love this. This just made me so confused because I was like, I simultaneously want Jack to be like my partner and my dad, and I'm so confused.
Oh my god! Yes,
because like he's such a good father, and it's so lovely, and
but he's also just like,
and I
so
love that.
hot.
But I'm also like, I also want you to be my husband, like.
But I also want to have your babies.
Yeah, it was very confusing. I never finished that show though.
I never did either.
Maybe I will someday. All right. Any last thoughts before we go? Any other questions? If you haven't picked up on it already, the next book we will be reading is Silver is for Secrets.
So many
and then Red
secrets.
is for Remembrance. And then after that, we are gonna dive into whatever books next. Maybe another Sarah Dessen.
Yeah, we
That'd be
could do
nice.
a poll to see which books you guys would want us to cover next.
And my brain flatlined. Yeah. So until next time,
Stay out of the boiler rooms.
Stay out of the boiler room. Don't go to the Hangman
Yeah,
Cafe.
don't go to cafes.
after it's
I
closed.
do remember writing down, I was like, when she goes to meet Jacob and she doesn't know who's asking to meet her and she's going after it's closed, I was like, Stacey, girl, my love, don't go to a closed cafe in the middle of the night to meet somebody that you don't know. Like, I know it's Jacob, but like, you didn't know. It could have been anybody. It could have been Miles.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Okay, so just don't do anything Stacey did.
Yeah.
She's a dumb bitch.
Stacey's a dumb bitch.
I'm just gonna victim shame.
Yes.
Yes.
Like, subscribe, comment,
subscribe,
rate.
rate on Apple Podcasts, and leave a comment about what books we should cover after we're done with the series, and let us know if there's any certain discussion points you want us to cover when we are talking about books, because we're trying to figure out this little thing called structure.
It's a new thing. We're gonna see how it goes.
Yeah, but until then, you can watch us on YouTube, subscribe, stream wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, etc.
And we'll catch you on the
flip side, and we'll see you every Wednesday. Bye. die.
Who killed your darling?